Welcome to Our Journey to Christ podcast with your hosts, Nikki Cottom and Katie Spencer. Join them as they discuss difficult conversations, hope, joy, identity, expansion, faith, trust, belonging, and healing.
Hello, welcome to another episode. I am Katie Spencer, and I am here with my co-host Nikki Cottom. Nikki, how are you today?
I'm doing really well today, Katie. It's a beautiful day. I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Episode days can kind of get a little bit difficult, but we're here. We're just gonna go with it. We'll see what comes out, right?
Absolutely. That's what we do. We're both very intuitive, and so we go with the flow, and God just tells us what's important for us to talk about too.
Yeah, I love it. I always love at the end when I can look back and say, "Wow, that was great the way it worked out." So, thanks for joining us and bearing with us as we just kind of go off the cuff sometimes of whatever we're led to share. Today we want to actually go back and talk a little bit more about emotions. I know in episode 9 we spent some time explaining about emotions, explaining how emotions are energy, how they process through our bodies. We talked a little bit about how they can become trapped when we don't have the conscious awareness or capacity to actually give them the proper time to process through our bodies. Most of us get many, many trapped emotions. This is just part of life. But the awareness of it is what helps change. We talked a lot in that episode about personal experiences, learning how we identified how they came forward with us on being aware of these trapped emotions, how we were able to process through them, and tools in which we could help you start your journey of being aware of emotions and then also identifying some trapped emotions. So today, Nikki, let's talk a little bit more in depth. We want to give you guys some more tools, some more understanding of how we actually have the power to let go of these trapped emotions, be free, be more present in our personal lives, not stuck in the past or worried about the future because of our own personal experiences and traumas, but how we can have freedom and release from these past things that can bring us to the present to live in joy and peace and happiness. So, Nikki, let's talk a little bit more about these emotions and tools that we can help our audience with.
Yes, I'm so grateful we get to have this discussion and give our audience these tools because we've talked about how they work. We've talked about that it's powerful, that we both do this with clients. And I'm really excited in this episode. We are giving you listeners the tools to do this for yourself. So, this episode is really informative and beneficial if you are wanting to process your emotions in real time and if you are ready to dig up some of those emotions from your past that have been holding you back, this episode is really important to listen to so you feel confident moving forward. And Katie and I are also going to do this for each other today, which is going to be fun because we don't know what's going to come up for each other. And we're just coming in real raw, vulnerable, and it's going to be fun. I am totally open to being seen as a human being that lives real life and has real struggles and traps emotions here and there because it's just part of life. And I'm so grateful Katie's here, willing to be vulnerable as well. She's excellent at being vulnerable. I need to take a page from her book in that. She's fantastic. So I do want to talk with Katie today about processing these emotions in general. So put yourself in the place of thinking about the emotions you would like to release, let go of from your past. And as you're thinking about some of these, I want to make a few points here. And one thing I was thinking about as we were coming up with what we wanted to talk about in this podcast is we can take as long as we want to process any specific emotion. Now, there are certain variable time frames that you can guesstimate how long a specific emotion might linger. So, for example, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, you might feel angry, right? That's a very appropriate emotion. Like we've talked about, anger is an emotion that says when a boundary has been crossed, right? And so you might feel anger that's totally appropriate for the situation. And how long you let the anger sit there is actually up to you. Now, the guesstimation, I would say, for getting cut off in traffic, for me, if I get cut off in traffic, I might feel angry for 5, maybe 10 minutes, right? That might be the length of time that I'm upset. I need to tell somebody, right? Like, this person cut me off. Then I tell somebody and I'm not angry anymore, right? It could be something like that. But if you think about something more severe, if your pet dies, how long do you think you would be processing grief from that? It could be months. It could even be maybe up to a year that you're grieving. And then after that, you might start letting some of that grief go more generously. If it's a loved one, a family member, you could be grieving for years. And I'm not discounting any of that. It's all very real. It's all very raw. I don't want any of you to think, well, oh, well, my parent died 10 years ago and I'm still grieving. That's totally okay. We're not shaming anybody in their emotion process. So wherever you are, that's perfect for where you are in life right now. Don't shame yourself. This is a shame-free zone. I did want to say here, I did have an experience somewhat recently where I had misjudged something in a communication I had sent to somebody. And after I had sent that communication, I felt instantly like, oh my goodness, that person is going to take this communication totally wrong. They're going to judge me. They're going to feel like I'm unprofessional, that I don't know what I'm doing. And obviously, it triggered my ego, right? Like, you're going to die because this person's going to misinterpret you, right? None of you have felt that way, I'm pretty sure, right? So I had this experience and it was really just like coursing through my body, all this regret, this humiliation. It was just like all internal, projected, bouncing around. And as I'm sitting there, I caught myself and I was thinking, how long is this humiliation from this one specific email that I sent out? How long is it going to stay there? And so I muscle tested to find out how long that was gonna stay there, and intuition hit my brain and said, "Well, how long do you want it to?" I'm like, "What? I have a choice?" Like, that's so weird to think you have a choice to determine how long an emotion sits there. And so I asked the question, I'm like, "Could this process in, like, 2 or 3 minutes?" And I got a yes. Like, no way. No way. This is big. Like, I'm thinking this is something that would last like days. And then, like, followed by a bunch of follow up emails that say, I didn't really mean that. Sorry if you interpreted it this way. And I was like, I'm going to try this out. I'm really going to see if I can just completely release this emotion of humiliation and regret and shame all in like 2 or 3 minutes. So I let myself feel the feeling for 2 to 3 minutes, very much acknowledging that it was there and it was running the show of my day, and then decided to just say, "Okay, you can go now. You can go." And it was amazing how much less intensity I felt about those emotions. And I was able to go throughout my day almost perfectly normally. There were a few other times where I remembered that it had happened, and then my body like seizes up again, like, remember that happened? This should be ruling your life. And then I say, I see you, and I'm letting you go again. And I did that probably several times throughout the day. And by the end of the day, it fully felt completely gone. So I'm saying that not so you feel bad, right? That we've held on to emotions because I've held on to some emotions for decades. So don't feel like, you need to beat yourself up if you didn't dislodge one tiny thing in 3 minutes. I'm just showing you that the awareness of it is powerful because our conscious mind, which is the mind that we have to call back our free will, and to make decisions for ourselves is extremely powerful. There is so much power in us deciding what we want to use our free will for. And the information I got from my subconscious, so like if I were to ask what emotion was it? What is it related to? How long at the rate is it going? Is it going to stay there? Those are all subconscious things. And muscle testing bridges the gap between bringing things that were hidden or in the subconscious up to the conscious mind. So the conscious mind can execute whatever decision it wants about that emotion. That is the magic of releasing trapped emotions. You say, okay, what is it that I do not know that is not part of my conscious awareness? Pull that information from the subconscious, and then the conscious mind says, okay, now I get to decide, do I want to hold on to this or do I want to let it go? How long do I want it to be there? And definitely know that as you honor these feelings, recognizing these are real feelings and feelings are powerful. But you know what is even more powerful than those feelings is your decision about those feelings. So as you choose how you want to handle these emotions, you actually will put yourself back in the driver's seat of what your life truly feels like in the end, right, Katie?
I love it. Nikki, thank you for taking the time to teach that because I think you hit on so many different points. Many of us live what we've been taught. And think about in families, we get taught generationally, right? We follow the patterns from what our parents did because we don't know any different. What we don't know until all of a sudden we found out we didn't know it, right? And so the beauty is that this gives maybe some new framework on emotions and what they actually need to appear or what's their purpose, right? And so that concept of how long does it take to actually process or sit in that emotion to help it work through us. I love that there isn't a real timeline. Like you just taught us that it's up to us to be able to actually choose, right? That free will, how long we want to allow it to have an effect on our life. The beauty with emotions that we talked about previously is that emotions are not good or bad, but an awareness of what they are. What's the driving cause behind it? What came up, right? In the past we talked about how when anger triggers you, it's a great time for you to look at what is happening, what boundaries are being crossed, what is inciting this anger so that you can then actively choose, do you need to change, set new boundaries, readdress something, right? It gives you motivation to work towards a change. And so really getting into that neutral space of emotions aren't here for punishment. They're not here for rewards, right? Emotions are just a part of life that teaches us basically.
Yeah.
And so I love just that concept of that awareness factor is so important. And we will process our emotions very much on our own time frame of what works for us in the space of our own healing, the space of our own awareness, in the space of other wounds, right? Of where some may be able to process things very easily and quickly, others it may be very deep.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so I just love how you just taught that it is a choice. It isn't a reaction. It is a choice.
Yes.
We pull the power.
Yes. And some of it, at least at first, it will be a reaction. Because, like you said, Katie, we're not told from being a child and all the way up till now, we've never been told how to process our emotions in, school or anything like that. So a lot of this is reactive until you check yourself and you say, okay, I actually do have a choice on what to choose. Life is a choose your own adventure. I can choose to have this adventure where I experience anger all day long, and that's quite the adventure. Or I could have this adventure where I say, I see that there is a boundary crossed. What is this teaching me? Is there a boundary that would be beneficial for me to set in the future so that I don't feel like I have to be triggered by this? Or is this just something that I needed to express awareness for and allow it to process and just let it go? And it's up to us that whole time frame. And I do want to take this a little step further in the zone of when we experience something very traumatic, where big boundaries were crossed or deep, deep grief takes place. Because there are instances in our lives where a boundary was crossed and we didn't feel like we had the voice or the choice to say no, or we didn't know how to get out of it, or we didn't know what was happening until it was all over, and then we're stuck with a mess. And those emotions that surface, that shame, that humiliation, that grief, that anger, all of those emotions, those are real. And I'm not going to discount those emotions for 1 second. They are very real, and they can actually cause us to feel like we are a victim of a circumstance that we did not deserve. And so while I hold space for that, and I'm not judging anybody for being in that space because I've been there before many times, and it's a very real space, I also want to give you an extra tool that if you feel like you are really ready to discharge or let go of some of the steam related to that situation, here is a tool I've used for myself. It's a meditative practice. What you do is you decide in your mind what you decided in one of these moments while you were processing this grief, this anger, this whatever emotion it was, that you were going to carry this emotion for a certain amount of time. Because, like I said at the beginning, there's not really a specific amount of time for grief. There's more just like general paradigms that most people fall into for timelines. But sometimes we trap in our subconscious mind, sometimes because of a conscious thought, how long an emotion needs to be stuck there. So, for example, if you were a victim of some abuse, you may feel like by carrying that abuse, you are carrying with it the need to bring justice. And if you were to let that go, then it would be like the perpetrator or the predator or whoever it was that harmed you gets away with it. That might be kind of the undertone to that. Or if you experienced a significant loss, that somebody in your life was taken from you in an unfair way, or something or people were taken away from you, and it was unfair, and you have to live your life holding up the grief to remember that person. I hold space for that, first of all. And secondly, there is a timeline probably written in your subconscious for how long this emotion needs to go on, for a specific purpose, for a vigil, or some sort of other reason why you need to carry this. And what I would invite you to do when you feel ready is to find out what that is. Some people right off the top know. They're like, "Oh, I'm taking this to my deathbed. I am not going to get off this pedestal or this cause that I'm carrying until my dying breath." In a case like that, I would say, okay, get yourself into a relaxed state and go in the future in your mind to that place that you said you would finally give this up when, if it's your deathbed, whatever it is, go to that place and really sit there. And when you're ready, give it up there. Give yourself all the space and time you need. It might be a few minutes, it might be a half hour, however long it takes. And when you have given it up to Jesus, come back to reality, come back to the present, and now you have a clean bill of health. Now you get a second chance at your life. The beautiful thing about this whole work is it gives you your free will back. It gives you your life back. So you don't have to harbor these things. One of the best things you can do for your old traumatized self is to start living the way you always wanted to live. before all of that happened. And if you can let that go, you can start living that way now with all the beautiful gifts that letting go taught you, with all the gifts that come from grief and processing that, and all of these other emotional wisdoms along the way. So it's up to you. You can decide to release it in whatever time frame that looks like. You can literally explore time and space. Time like doesn't exist, right? In this space. And you can go there and you can let it go and then come back here and say, okay, now what do I want to do with my life? Now I have a second chance. I really want to tie this in really quick, Katie, into the atoning sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Because that is literally using the atonement in action. That is literally using the passion of Jesus to say, okay, yes, I feel this way. And yes, Jesus can take it. And maybe you felt like you needed to carry that cross to the end of your life. Maybe you felt like you needed to, but now you can put that old life in Jesus and he gives you a new life.
Beautiful. Thank you. I know that this is very sensitive material that we're discussing. Nikki and I are both definitely giving credit and validation to victims. We know that there are many, many victims in the world from multiple types of victimhood, right? We are not trying to discredit anybody's trauma, real life experiences, any horrific thing that they have or any of you have ever experienced. What we're trying to do is, with love and compassion, let you know that there are ways in which you don't have to stay stuck or stay in that realm, right? When Nikki's discussing that idea of needing to hold on to it, because if I don't hold on to it, then maybe it didn't happen, or maybe this, like she said, this is the cross I am to bear, right? It happened to me, so I can't ever let it go. It wouldn't be real. It wouldn't give the glory or the satisfaction. Um, and although those feelings can be very true, there is another side of it, and that's what Nikki is really trying to express, is that through the atonement of Christ, he did bear all of this for us. Because of people's agency, God doesn't intervene. And that's a hard one to sit with, right? To know that question of why did God let these things happen? Because he gave us our free will, he gave us our free agency, he does not take that away. When others have forcefully taken our free will away, it can feel like it's gone forever. But the beauty of us as spirits of God is that we can reclaim that free will. And that's what Nikki's really describing, is as we surrender and release these emotions, these feelings that are deep, very deep, there is that power of calling that free will back from you. It is no longer giving that to the abuser, right? The hard truth is that the longer you stay victim and you stay in that space, you are still giving that authority to them. And the beauty and the worst thing that you can do to your abusers is pull that free will back. When you don't give into that fear, when you don't give into those emotions that they've created, because they're seeking that power from you, you are harnessing it back to you. When you can learn, and again, this is said with so much love and compassion, when you can learn to truly release it and give it to Christ, it doesn't erase what happened. That is imprinted for all eternity to know. But you aren't stuck in that pattern of suffering anymore. When we release these deep traumas, these deep emotions, there is a freedom that comes. And like Nikki said, it's bringing you back to that present, to giving you the ability to have the life you've always wanted. We don't forget the past. We don't erase the past. What we do is we actually learn the lessons we needed to from the very deepest part of our soul, from these deep wounds and and heartaches and struggles to create a new person of who we are with strength and ability. So, another way to describe this idea of releasing these things, especially when you are just holding on that you want justice. Because true victims, I understand that need for justice, but that is who Christ is. He provides that love and justice and mercy. But the idea of releasing these emotions, I have a visual of releasing them from me. My body doesn't need to carry it. My spirit doesn't need to carry it. I don't need to be weighed down. It is not a backpack of burdens I'm carrying that is making my life so difficult. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm taking these things and I'm putting them in the evidence locker in the sky with God. He is now the holder of these burdens. He is now the holder of these emotions, all of these experiences. It is filed for eternity. It will never be forgotten. But I'm not carrying the weight of it. He is.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I love how you just said it so beautifully, Katie, that this is a safe place, giving it to Jesus. It doesn't mean that your efforts, your suffering, that the justice that you seek, the relief that you looked for and could never find, it doesn't mean that none of those will matter if you give it up. It literally means that you get a fresh start with Jesus, that he carries those burdens so that you don't have to. And that's the beauty of this work, is it's all about compassion. You can't do emotion code work or any emotion release work without compassion. Every single emotion that comes up, I personally hold compassion for, whether it's in myself or whether it's in one of my children or whether it's in a client. Every emotion is honoring something. And honoring that thing is really valuable because as you honor the feeling, what you went through, all of those things, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. It means it did matter. It means it carried weight. It protected you. It gave you some sort of guidance and wisdom or adaptive measure to protect yourself. And that's okay. It really deserves compassion. And then as we get to that space where we are ready to heal and set these things free to Jesus Christ, who can then take them and use them for whatever his purposes are to bring both justice and mercy, we don't have to carry those anymore. If we truly trust Jesus, and I do, he will make everything right. And so I appreciate, Katie, that you've said that so beautifully, that this is allowing Jesus to take that. That is really the good news. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that salvation comes through Jesus Christ. And that salvation looks differently in the moment, but in the end, it will all make sense. And in the present, we can let these things go and we can walk side by side with Jesus and continue on our way and allow joy to be poured into us where there was once sorrow and grief. And that's the promise of Jesus. That's that's one reason we love him so much.
And in his grace and wisdom and love is that ability that we get to decide when we are ready, right? There isn't a time frame, like we've discussed. There isn't a time frame of when we have to, how long it takes us to release, right? This is a journey. Each one of us is going to decide there. I might be ready to release some emotions and be like, let's go. I'm ready. There may be some I'm not ready for. I need to get into a safer space. I need to maybe have a better awareness of or learn a lesson that I'm not quite ready to see yet until I can let that go. But that's the beauty of all of this is that the Lord really gives us the time and the space. He waits for us. When we're ready, it can happen so fast. Like Nikki, like we talked at the very beginning, how long does it have to take, right? Are you ready to jump in and let's do this live
Yeah.
and be vulnerable and show like really when we connect that subconscious and the conscious and we say okay, we're ready. Is there something in my body that's ready to go? How quickly it can actually process and leave us, because we are bringing that conscious and subconscious together. We're uniting together, taking it to God, and collectively it can just go.
Yes. Yes, let's do it. Do you want me to muscle test for you first or you muscle test for me first? Which one would you rather?
Um, I don't care.
Okay.
What
Well,
do you want to do?
I've got the emotion code chart pulled up here. For those of you who are listening, if you just do a Google search and type the emotion code chart, you should see this 2-column, 6-row chart that has a total of 60 emotions, 5 in each box. And that's a beautiful reference you can use if you're just starting to muscle test and you really need it to be broken down into an easy way to find out what emotion you are addressing. And like Katie said, the two magical things, the things that makes this activation happen is A, your conscious mind that's choosing to do this, the information that comes from your subconscious mind that now is brought to your conscious mind, your present mind, that gets to make the decision whether you keep it or let it go. Your conscious mind saying, I'm ready to let it go. That's the magic. Like it's really that simple. Conscious mind says, let's do this. Subconscious mind says, here's the information. Conscious mind says, let's let this go. I'm done having this run the show of my life.
I love that. Well, and let's just break it down really quick. Our conscious mind is where we are currently. Our conscious mind doesn't always connect into traumas, things that may be hard. We don't remember, right? We might have these blocks that put up things that we have some blank spaces. Our subconscious is our hard drive, guys. Our subconscious is the recording of all parts of our whole life, our whole existence. It just records and it just keeps this information. And so that's the key, is that our body, our muscles can connect in and respond, um, and tap into that subconscious, to that hard drive, and pull stuff that we in our awareness mind and our conscious mind might not recall. And so that's the key, is tapping into both and bringing them both together. And then I wanted to just to make note too, the emotion code list is by Bradley Nelson. He's the one that created this. It only has the 60 emotions because he pretty much said under all these 60 umbrellas and most other, we can't, I mean, emotions go, there's just hundreds of them. So we broke it down. He broke it down into this simple list to try and make this as easy as possible. So, okay, go,
Yes.
Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie, for explaining that a little bit more in depth. So I am looking at Dr. Bradley Nelson's 60 emotions, the emotion code chart. And I'm going to ask Katie if it's okay if I go ahead and connect with her to tap into her subconscious vicariously through my own body.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So now I'm just connecting. I'm making sure that I'm connected to her and not my own stuff. Yes, you can do that. Okay, and I'm getting a yes from your subconscious. Now, what I'm doing this ring and ring method. You take two fingers. It doesn't matter which two fingers. It's usually the thumb and another finger, and you hold them like two rings. And then you interlock them. So for me, I'm using my middle fingers and my thumbs, and my middle fingers are touching my thumbs, and then I'm interlocking those two, so it looks kinda like a chain link. And as I ask questions, if it's a true statement, these muscles are going to test strong. I'm not going to be able to pull it apart as easily. So this chain link stays linked. If I get a no, then they're gonna break apart easily. Okay? It doesn't matter which muscles you use, any muscles that are not injured in the body will work for this. I'm using these ones. I'm going to ask if there is an emotion that we can release for Katie today that will help her in her life that she's ready to let go of, that we can release today. I'm getting a yes. Okay, so now I'm going to ask, is it in the column A? And I'm getting a yes. Okay, now I'm going to ask if it is in an odd row or an even row. Is it an odd row? Yes. Okay, is it in row 1? No. Is it in row 3? Yes. Okay, so now I'm looking at column A, row 3. In that box, we have crying, discouragement, rejection, sadness, and sorrow. I'm going to ask which emotion it is. Is it crying? Is it discouragement? It's discouragement. Okay, so discouragement is coming up. And I'm going to ask, is there anything else we need to know about discouragement? I'm getting a yes and a no, meaning we can know more if we want. So I'm just going to ask if there's an age that is associated with this. And I'm getting a yes. Okay, I'm going to ask, is it in the first 0 to 10 years of Katie's life? No. 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 40, 41, 42. Okay, so at age 42, there was something that surfaced that caused some discouragement in Katie's life that she felt like she had to suppress this emotion. Now, I don't know if anything's coming to your mind, Katie. That's not part of the magic of it. The part of the magic is that we know the details that are necessary, that it's now pulled up this information into the conscious mind. And then Katie gets to decide if she wants to let it go. And Katie's nodding.
Yes, of course I do. Like,
Katie, of course, wants it to go, right? We all want this to go for Katie. We're like, yeah, Katie, release it. This is so important, right? So we're sitting here with Katie, and Katie's saying yes. Okay, so in the process of her saying yes, she's already started to dislodge this from her body. Because I am more empathic, I'm feeling it released from her gut, right between her solar plexus and her sacral region in that digestive tract. And it's discouragement and it's flowing out. I'm feeling it flow out through her legs. Like there's a gut legs circulation dynamic I'm feeling in my body related to it. If you don't feel anything, that's perfectly fine. It literally took me years and years before I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of feeling what it is that's coming. But usually you just say, wow, I'm so glad that that's not going to rule Katie's digestive tract anymore. Right, Katie?
well, and it's beautiful. Like, so as I've gone through this process, like there's tears coming down my eyes. Um, that is something that I've learned for myself. That when I acknowledge and I am ready to release, the tears will come. Not always, but majority of the time, that shows me that my body is accepting, acknowledging, and saying, yes, there is a shift that is taking place. So
Right,
it's
right.
interesting how it can be so different for each one of us.
Yes, and it's not called the emotion code for nothing. Like we cry, right? It's part of the process. I joke that the emotion code should come with an unlimited supply of tissues, Kleenexes, because we use them a lot. And then if you're looking at the emotion code chart, it does say that in that particular row, those things sometimes trapped in the lung and the colon. And the colon is part of that digestive tract, so that would make sense.
Well, and I also want to make note too that sometimes when we're bringing an emotion back to the awareness, I don't want you to think that we're going to be caught up in that, right? Like you think about grief or heartache or longing, right? Or anything like that. When that emotion comes up, there might be a tingle, there might be a twinge of that emotion. But Nikki just brought up discouragement for me. I did not feel any discouragement. My body felt that sensation of release, awareness, recognition, and a shift, but I wasn't feeling that discouragement. So that understanding that as we're bringing recollection to that emotion, it does not mean that it's going to trigger that response. Sometimes I've had it where heartache has come up, and I felt that for just a brief moment, right? You feel that deep within you, and then that release happens and it's gone. And so just so that we kind of explain a little bit that when we're bringing this up, it's not it's not a reenactment.
Right. You
It's
don't
just a
have to
release.
relive it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to relive it, and I love how Katie is at the point she holds compassion for whatever comes up. And that's the most beautiful place to be. You don't wanna be sitting in this zone of pride where you're saying, no, that couldn't be it." But Katie's coming from a space of compassion. That's a much higher frequency to receive healing than pride. And Katie is acknowledging. She's saying, "Okay, I'm gonna be humble about this, and I'm gonna have compassion for what comes up." And then as it came up, she was able to feel that twinge of, "Yes, this is coming up. Just allow it." And she did, and then the tears came, and that's a signal to Katie that she's feeling it and it's processing it, and it's a beautiful sign It's like the rainbow in the sky after the flood. It's a beautiful sign that this is clearing, that this is something that Katie no longer has to harbor, protect, be defensive with. This is something that can go, that doesn't have to be part of her adventure anymore. This beautiful emotion that we were able to hold space for and then release. It didn't mean that Katie was discouragement. She felt it. And as human beings, we feel all these things. So holding the space and saying, discouragement's not bad. It served a purpose. And now it can go. Like, go to Jesus. He'll make something amazing out of you. Katie, do you want me to check and see if there's any more emotions, or do you want to
Sure,
do the turn?
let's do a couple more just to
Okay.
see to show them
Okay.
again how it
Yeah,
kind of it
for
plays
sure.
out.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do this next one a little faster because I kind of explained the first time around how I'm looking at this. So I'm looking at column B now, and I'm getting to row 4. The emotion that's coming up is indecisiveness. Okay, indecisiveness, what age do we need to know? Is it between 0 and 10, between 10 and 20? Between 10 and 20, is it 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? So it's age 14. Yeah, indecisiveness. So I'm going to ask, is there anything else we need to know? Nope, we don't need to know anything more aside from there was strong indecisiveness at this age of 14 that's coming up right now for whatever reason. There's always a beautiful time frame for these emotions to come up. And indecision, 14-year-olds, right? We're pushed in a lot of different directions. What decisions to make? It could be related to friends, parents, dynamics with school, high school starting, you name it. It could be anything. Puberty, boys, all the things. Katie, are you ready to let this one go?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's just let it go. Okay, so I'm holding space for Katie to let this go. She has consciously given permission for this to go. I'm not saying that any of you in the audience are going to feel this for her, but what I'm feeling is I'm feeling in my shoulders tingles. And I'm feeling like the back of my neck tingles. So probably having to do something with your efforts and what you can accomplish and do, and feeling restricted because the shoulders, you energy has to go through the shoulders in order to get to the arms, and the arms are things you do. So that's just an awareness that I'm holding for Katie as she releases this. And it feels like a burden is being dropped. It feels like she was literally carrying that burden across her shoulders, and she just dropped it down at Jesus' feet, saying, I'm done with this. You just join me on the road, and I won't have to be indecisive all the time. I can just know that you're with me and everything's going to be fine.
And I love it. Just to explain to our audience, I'm a pretty logical person. And so stepping into this space of emotion code, I have a pretty open mind, but trying to understand the logic can get kind of crazy, right? And that idea of like, can I really just let this go? But remember what we talked about earlier is that this is a free will, this is a choice, right? And as we choose to step into it, even if there isn't really a sense of fully understanding, or even that idea of like, could this really be real? I think it's keeping that open minded to the possibility of what if it is, right?
Hmm.
And then experimenting on that. The beauty also is that both for discouragement and indecisiveness, a memory did not pop into my mind. I remember the first times of trying to rethink, like, okay, what was going on at this age of 42? What was going on at this age of 14? And trying to like replay my life. And and over the years, what I've learned is that that's irrelevant. The beauty of this is I don't have to go back and I don't have to relive it. I don't have to step back into that space. If it is something that is important, then a memory will come to my mind. Or if it's something I need to know more about, then we can't release it until we are able to identify something else to give me a hint, maybe to help direct me in a lesson I need to know or an understanding I need, right? But the beauty of this emotional release is it is so smooth and calm. It's so easy. And so if you're sitting here and going, okay, but I don't want to relive it, I have fear, or well, maybe I did it wrong because I feel nothing. Nikki is so gifted and has these beautiful talents to be able to kind of feel in her body, right? Connecting to mind where it's releasing. I'm going to be honest, I didn't feel anything with with that indecisiveness. The tears didn't even actually come. There was a flutter to say, yep, right? As Nikki is experiencing it and she is explaining it to me at a flutter of this is true. Let it go. So the experience is going to be very different and unique to person. But the beauty is that the program of how this works, the process in which we're going through it works.
Yes. Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Katie, because people who are more logical might say, well, how will I even know? Is it really going to work for me if I don't feel it when you're releasing? As long as you, like Katie said, as long as you consciously say, yes, I'm giving this up, that's all that's required. You don't have to feel it in your body. You don't have to convince your mind it's happening. You just simply say yes, and it's happening. Yes, and it is done. That's really as simple as it is. And then as you go throughout your life, you might think, oh, I used to be triggered about that, but I'm not anymore. It will come in these really subtle moments where you'll say, I feel more peace and I don't know why. Or it will just be these nuances that show up. You'll be like, "My life is improving. I'm not sure what happened, but my life is getting better," because all of these emotions are not running the show in the background all the time. Okay, let's do this last emotion for you, Katie, and then wrap up with a couple for me. And then let's give the tools to our audience to continue with this. Okay, so the last emotion, I'm in column B again. I'm in an odd row. I'm in row 5. Unsupported is coming up. Okay, so unsupported, I'm going to ask if there is an emotion connected to this, and I'm getting that it's a current emotion. So there's a current feeling of unsupported. This could be any area of life. It could be health and nutrition. It could be relationships. It could be just self-esteem. It could be anything related to her life, but unsupported, not feeling supported in a certain area of life. And it's current, meaning it's like it's flowing through her body as we speak, maybe not at the full present awareness. She might not have got on this meeting feeling saying, "Oh, I'm supported," but maybe she did. I don't know. But it's very much an underlying tone for where she is in her life on the day to day. So this emotion is coming up. Katie, are you ready to stop being unsupported?
Yes, I'd like
Okay.
to release that.
Awesome. The beautiful thing about releasing these is it allows the positive opposite to fill this void or whatever it is you choose to fill. So as she releases unsupported and she just suppressed a yawn, it looked like sometimes
I did.
emotions come up in yawns. Then as she releases unsupported, it literally means that the support that's already there available to her, she will most likely be able to be more attuned with. And that could be in the form of like God being there, supporting all the time. She'll be able to feel that more. The people who are supportive of her, she'll be able to feel that more. She keeps
Yeah,
yawning.
and
So
that, and
she's
that, like,
processing it. She's already decided she's letting it go because she's yawning. And yawning is a good sign that there's this release of emotion. So Katie is releasing this. I don't feel it anywhere aside from like there's this like heaviness in the heart area. I'm feeling it in my mid back. But she let it go, and now the tears are
ooh,
coming, so she's
yeah,
getting
this one's
yeah,
heavier. Like,
it is. Well,
so it's really
it's
real. Yeah.
current, right? It's not like you're pulling from the past, this is like you're really feeling it now, and you're gonna if it's a present emotion, you probably are gonna feel it more intensely because it's right on the surface. It didn't have to get pulled up from the deepest part of your colon, it's now, like, just right on the surface, right? So it's easier to
Yeah.
let go. But
Which
yeah,
is so crazy, right? Like, I mean, like I said, the other ones I wasn't, each one of them,
it's different.
my body responded very differently. And so that's the beauty. And maybe it was just, for the episode that I got to do all these different so the audience can experience. But yeah, like now there's this lightness.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's over. Like
Yay!
the tears have stopped and the yawning's done, right? Like
Yeah,
that's how quick.
yeah,
That's how quick the body is saying, okay, we recognize, we're responding, and we're good. We're moving on. We're not dwelling
yes.
in.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, we're giving you the tools to do this. I even have a free muscle testing course on my website. If you go to nikkicottom.com and go to online courses, the very first course that will probably come up is Muscle Testing 101. It's a free course. I made it free because I want everyone to have this tool. Go and start releasing this for yourself today. Go release a trapped emotion, just one. And I promise it will change your life just by releasing one. And then if you want to meet with Katie and I and release a whole bunch at once, feel free to do that too. But just, I want to make sure you have the tools to go ahead and tap into this yourself, really get a good feel on it and utilize it.
Well, I love that. What Nikki and I are demonstrating and showing is Nikki is helping tap into me and help me release. But the beauty of learning how to muscle test is that we can do it for ourselves, right? That's what she's saying is when we learn to communicate with our body and allow that body to be that response for us, that yes or no, because that's the only way that we can talk to our subconscious. Sadly, we don't get to ask, tell me the story, right? And so we get to ask only yes or no questions. But the beauty is that once you have started in learning the skill of muscle testing, you can use it for yourself and you can use it for others. The beauty of what we began this session was that Nikki had to ask permission. We do not cross space. Remember, we talk about free will. We do not cross into uncharted territory. We do not subject ourselves into somebody else. We ask permission. And so, Nikki gave her permission. And what you didn't see prior to all of this in our podcast is that Nikki and I sat in prayer. And in our prayer, we set rules and boundaries and conditions. And so that Nikki is not invading my space. She's not going to, she put protections in place, right? We did for each other so that we're not going to be susceptible to any other's energy. Nikki is now going to disconnect from me because that's an important part so that she's no longer accessing me. So there are safety measures that get put in place to protect both of our spirits, and to make sure that we don't cross and we don't have some dependency that crosses an energy lines to stay connected. It's for this space and time, for this specific purpose, that is being allowed through the channeling and grace and mercy of the atonement of Christ.
Yeah.
So, Nikki,
Yeah.
you want me to? Should we check you out and see if we can find a couple
Yes,
emotions?
I totally give permission. I have no idea what's going to come up, but I'm a human being. I'm sure that I've got something that can be pulled up today.
All right, perfect. So thank you for giving me your permission. So yeah, just like Nikki, I need to now just kind of ground myself and make sure that I'm in a space that I can receive, and that I need to now put my own personal thoughts and consciousness aside to tap into hers, so that I'm not putting my spin of my own logical mind in, but that I'm just going to tap into her conscious mind. So let me do that. Okay, so I have a connection. So I work a little differently than Nikki does when I do the muscle testing. I have a tendency to close my eyes. That helps me just really block out everything else around me. I also, Nikki was showing you how she does the finger link and doing that. I do a sway test. So I'm going to turn to the side here for a second so you can kind of see behind me. And so the idea is that if I'm going to get a positive response, my body will naturally move forward. If I'm going to get a negative response, my body will go negative. So with connected to Nikki, we're just going to ask, Nikki, do you have a trapped emotion that you are ready to release? And so I'm going to lean forward. So it's saying a yes. It's very subtle sometimes. Sometimes to the point that I don't even really like move as much as I feel the energy of like a forward or a backwards. Okay. So I'm going to turn back around to face my camera correctly. So we have a trapped emotion that Nikki has that is she is ready to release. So I'm going to use the same chart that Nikki had. So I'm just going to ask, is it a column A? It's going to be column B. Is it odd? Is it even? It's even. Row 2. It's in row 6. So there are 5 emotions that are in that box. Nikki likes to say them out loud. I like to ask just 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. It goes faster for me. So we're just going to say 1, 2, 3. It's number 4, which is unworthy. So Nikki, we have a trapped emotion of unworthy. Can we find an age? Is there something we need to know? Do we have an age? So I use different terms than Nikki does just because the less words that I can say, the faster it will go. Nikki and I are practicing out loud. We can do it in our mind because we are connecting subconscious and conscious. So we all know that we can speak a whole lot faster in our own mind than out loud. So I like to ask when it's an age, if it is in the early years, if it's in the teen years, in the 20s, in the 30s. So somewhere in at the age 30, so 31, 32, age 34. Nikki, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Thank you. I should have asked that to make sure that, we stay within the right,
That's
the
okay.
right realm of things. So something that is coming up for Nikki of feelings of unworthy at some point in her life that is triggering around age 34. Can be unworthy for any circumstance. She could, like she talked about, you know, this sense, whether she was or not, is irrelevant. It's the emotion that came up that somehow she is now feeling unworthy. So, is there anything else we need to know? No, that is all that we need to know. So, Nikki, are you ready to release the feeling of unworthy?
I'm totally willing to release it. I am feeling like an acid in my stomach right now. So it was probably trapped in my stomach area. But anyway, let's go ahead and release this. I'm saying yes.
Perfect. So we've talked about this conscious awareness of accepting and acknowledging and saying yes is the when we're doing that release. Now, when we talk with learning and in the emotion code book by Bradley Nelson, he talks about using a magnet to release. Nikki, do you have a magnet in front of you?
I do. It
Can,
looks kind of funky. It's a massage magnet. Like massage therapists sometimes use this to remove tension. These little balls spin. But it doesn't matter what kind of magnet. It could just be like a refrigerator magnet off of your fridge. It doesn't have to be a specific size or shape. But I do have it, and I could use it over my governing meridian. So essentially, like right in front of my nose, all the way up over my head, as far back as I can reach. And I can do that 3 times to totally release an emotion.
and why is it that he uses and he teaches about the magnet? And you,
Magnets are so fascinating. If you ask just about anybody who studies energy or specifically pain related things, magnets, if you were to hold a pain, if you had pain in your knee and you were to take a refrigerator magnet and stick it right on your knee, within minutes, you will feel less pain. And the reason for that is that we, as human beings, have this polarity. We are magnetic. We have a magnetic field around us. Our hands are actually magnetic. You could use your hand to go over your governing meridian 3 times to dislodge an emotion. But it also is linked to that we have this electromagnetic field around us and we are magnetic as human beings. And so magnets just work really well. People have made soles for shoes out of magnets. People will have magnetic necklaces to help with headaches. People will have magnets in their bed sheets to help with grounding at night. Magnets are just awesome.
I love it. So I just wanted to point out though, when Nikki was helping me process and release these, I was in tune with knowing how my body was. That conscious speaking of saying yes, I want to release it is already doing it, right? But if there's a need to say, okay, well, am I making sure that I'm doing it correctly? Am I making sure that it's canceling out, right? Swiping that hand, like she said, from your nose over your forehead all the way down to the back of your head, taking a magnet. I mean, how many of us have fridge magnets that some advertiser just handed us, and it's no big deal, right? You just put that in with your coat or your emotions list and you're good to go, right? It just is a really good way especially when you're in the beginning stages to say, is this really happening? We're just swiping and doing, and we're trusting in that magnetic field and energy that we are releasing, because we discussed at the beginning, emotions are energy. The magnetism is pulling and extracting that out of our body, right? So that logical sense kind of plays out here. So just a
Yeah.
reminder, like there's lots of different ways to do it, but it's very, very simple. It's the idea of identify. Do we need to know more? Are we ready to release? Release it to God with a sense of gratitude in your heart for the lesson that you've learned and received from it. And then we swipe and we move on. So
Yay.
should we do another
Yeah.
one, Nikki?
Okay.
Okay, so going back to our chart, is it in column A? No, it's in column B. Is it odd? No, it's even. So we're back to, it's in number 4. So row 4, I'm going to go to, it's number 4 again. So that is panic. Nikki, have you ever felt panic in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 7 kids. Did I say that? Like, I stopped feeling the need to go on roller coasters as a mom because I get enough of that in my own house.
Right? It's so interesting how some of these emotions were like, oh, yep, I felt that one for sure, but sometimes they get trapped.
Yeah.
So, okay, is there more that we need to know? Yes. Is there an age related to it? Yes. Was it in the early years, the teens, the 20s, and the 30s again? Age 32.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Something's definitely popping up, huh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
yeah, giving birth to my youngest child, I almost died, and my baby was born not being able to breathe either, so it was a lot of panic there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that I know that that was a rough point and a lot of emotions that got caught up at the same time. So
Mhm.
of course I can see how you didn't have the energy or the time or the space to be able to
Yeah.
process it. But
Yeah.
that beauty of right there, as soon as I said the age, you guys, she recognized and it just came up that, oh yeah, this is exactly when, right? That awareness. So that awareness is just even more confirmation to her that yeah, this happened and now is there any more that we need to know about it? I'm getting to know. So Nikki, you ready to release this one?
Yes, yes,
All right,
definitely yes.
let's go. Nobody wants to hold on to panic.
Right?
Okay, so she's swiping her magnet over her head 3 times, like maybe a little extra just to make sure she's got it. She's got her eyes closed, she's breathing through it and really allowing her body to feel that presence and peace that comes with releasing.
That
So one
feels
thing I do,
good.
okay, one thing I do want to acknowledge is because this is energy, um, that what we're doing is we're breaking down the energy types, right? We're acknowledging, we're breaking it down. It is important for us that as we're releasing it, breaking it down, it's still in our body. So the most important thing that we need to remember is after we do any of these kind of sessions, drink, hydrate yourself, so that then these energy little balls that now don't associate with anything because they've been broken down and released will now escape your body. But
Mhm.
hydration is always key to purge and to just get every little last bit of it outside of your body.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one
Let's
more.
even it up since you did three
Okay.
for me. Let's go. Okay,
Okay.
so let's ask: does Nikki have another trapped emotion? Yes. This time it's in column A. This time it's odd number one. So, or again, this is the emotion of lost, Nikki. Yeah, lost. Ooh, I'm feeling this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so do we need to know more about it? Yes. Do we have an age? Yes. Was this in the early years? No, it's in the teens. Yes. So 11, 12, 13, age 14.
Mhm.
Age 14 again, like she talked about with me feeling lost, right? This doesn't mean that she's actually like lost something, like lost them down, but maybe being lost in the world, not really knowing where she fits in. Um, you think about those teen years, there's a lot of different emotions that come up when we're really trying to determine who we are and what we're going through. Different relationships that can just be harsh,
Mhm.
right? Is there
Yeah.
anything specific that's coming up that you want to share, or you're just
Yeah,
feeling it?
so that was a time where my parents wanted to give me some autonomy to make decisions, but they also didn't want to. And so I felt like I was really stuck between doing what my parents wanted me to do, doing what I wanted to do, and then there might be even a third option that God had something different. And it was this like three-way tug of war with with major decisions. For me, it was what high school to to and when to start high school. And that was really difficult. So it definitely was like, well, can I trust myself? Like, I don't even know if I can trust my own judgment. I don't know. So yeah, a lot of lost. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I love it. Is there anything else we need to know? No, her body says that's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, she recalls a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
okay, Nikki, you ready to release this one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I'm so
let's go.
ready.
All right, then release it.
All right. Let's release this lost.
Okay, she's running her magnet again, taking her deep breaths and allowing it to just be turned over to God.
Yeah. Now I'm feeling held and I'm feeling supported and I'm feeling like I'm not lost anymore. This is so good.
So, do you guys see? It's quite easy. It's not a very complex. We probably made it sound more complex than it really is. Just trying to explain to you, as you're listening, what exactly we're doing. But the beauty is just the awareness, the question of whether you have a trapped emotion or not. the space of feeling open with that experiment of saying, let's let it go, acknowledging and identifying what it is, if it's pertinent to know an age, if there's anything else that we need to know, we just ask yes or no questions. Is it mine? Is it somebody else's? Is it connected to the specific person or the specific event in my life, right? It can be that simple. That's minimal information we need to know. And then just the recognition of, am I ready to release it? Because as we choose into it, that is the power in which it goes. And that's it. And we sat here with seconds. I mean, we were literally within seconds to a minute, and we were just saying, yes, we want it, and feeling the response to our body.
Yes. Thank you so much, Katie. This has been so fantastic to go through these and to release these because for whatever reason right now in my life, these are what's at the top ready to come up. So if you feel like you've got a lot of emotion, maybe too many to handle, just start with like 1, 2, or 3 emotions at a time and release them and then just pay attention to how much lighter you feel, how much more connected to who you are and even God and his love for you that might be able to come filter in a little bit more brightly because these emotions aren't discerning these experiences for you in a way that makes life sound harsh because Jesus is always love. There's always love and always compassion. So as you release this, choose to let a little bit more of him in or a lot more of him in place of these emotions that go. And whatever he speaks into your soul, choose to believe that instead. And his identity for you, his love for you.
Amen. Amen.